Okay folks, today we're going to test this vintage Nissan or Datsun Z-Car AM/FM radio. It's a nice one. You'll see more in the pictures, but it's definitely better than average. The chrome on the faceplate is quite nice. Usually it's all worn off. The lens is super clean and clear. The push buttons all have their original white paint or whatever you call it. The lettering is still crisp, not worn off. The case of the radio is quite nice. A little scattered surface corrosion on the top, but nothing crazy. Let me see if I can tilt it up and show you the bottom here. A little bit of surface corrosion on the bottom, but the factory tag is still intact and in good shape. Oh, looks like we just lost our ground connection there, so we'll connect that before we start testing. In fact, I'll connect it right now before I forget. And we lost our antenna. We'll hook that back up too. Anyway, the factory power antenna switch is still intact and seems to function as it should. And yeah, just a real nice original radio. Here's our antenna hooked back up. A couple of the wiring connections have been cut in the past. You can see the speaker wires off the connector have been cut, but they're right there, so they could be hooked up easily enough. And the factory fuse connector is still intact, so here's one side, and the other side is hooked up to my power lead there. And then I don't know what the red and black wires do. I'm assuming the black is a ground, but this red with blue stripe, I'm not sure what it is, but the connector is still here. So if it's hooked up to your car, you'll be able to get everything back together. We lost our antenna once again. Hook that back in there. Anyway, our goal today is to test this guy. We have it hooked up to a 12-volt power supply, an antenna, and a speaker, and we're going to test it. It's currently on AM, so you can control AM and FM switching by pressing the push button. Where I live here is really weak AM reception, so that's due to the fact that, let's see if we can get this to change. I'm deep in a valley here, if you see the hillside there, and we're in a metal building. So between the two of those factors, I don't really get AM reception from where the tuner's tuned in now down the dial. And that's not the fault of the radio, but just where I live here. So I'll show you that AM works. Rest assured the AM will work much better when you're not in a valley in a steel building. Okay, so without further ado, clearly there's no knobs on this radio. But to turn it on, if the knob was there, you just push in on the knob and we're turned on.
Over 5 liters.
So there's our first AM signal. I think there was one a little further back here, but see there's another signal there. But back here we don't get, oh, there's something. But we don't get anything just because where we're at here in the valley. So
with the pulling power of that truck, it.
But you can see once we get past that point, we have pretty good reception.
9 Eastern on Hannity.
Anyway, there's AM. We'll switch over to FM, which I'm assuming is what most people care about. We'll start from the end of the dial here. So that's the end of the dial. Can show you when we adjust the volume. It gets really loud, and there's no crackling or anything.
The Central Coast #1 hit music station.
Anyway, really nice reception. Anyway, nice reception all the way through the dial. I'll show you that the push buttons work here. I'll show you how to set an AM or an FM push button here. Let's say we like this station. We just pick whatever push button we want. You pull out on it, push it back in. Then no matter where we go, we can go right back to where we were. Same thing on AM. So that switched just over to AM there.
Thank you for the call.
Let's say we like this station. We just pull out on whichever push button we want. push it back in. No matter where we go, we're back where we were. Anyway, just a really nice factory AM/FM radio for your Nissan or Datsun Z car. Really can't say enough about this radio. It's a really nice unit. So if you've been looking for one, don't miss it, guys. These don't come up for sale like they used to. Also, the mounting brackets are still intact. I don't know what else I forgot to mention, but it's a nice one.